Welcome back, dear friends, to a very exciting episode, because I've been asked to make, let me have a look, what's it called? A Luminescent Epizoescope. Took me a long time, I remember, to work out that name. Got to get that right. For a customer in America, so that's lovely. Here's one I prepared earlier. I originally built it when I was first doing steampunk events up in Whitby and Bridlington, north of England. Beautiful, really enjoyed it. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have some sort of screen or display to show other machines that I've made and other jobs and things that I've done. So I thought, well, a digital photo frame, and why not? Would do, and I found a suitable one, which is lovely. Automatically starts up when you plug it in and just cycles through any videos it finds or still photos. Perfect. But it was boring. It was white, plastic and tedious. So I started off by making this front frame with the lovely laser engraved sign and some buttons that look like they're off a typewriter and things like that. And I thought, because I finished that, it's that thick basically, and I thought, no, that's not enough. You can't possibly just have that, because it's meant to be an optical Victorian device, so it needs bellows. It has to have bellows. So after some judicial googling, I found out how to make them. Voila, there they are, made out of black cardboard. Now I'm going to be getting on with these. This is the first job I'm going to do with this next one, because I haven't got the screen yet and I haven't got virtually anything else, the wood or anything, but I have got some black cardboard and some hockey tape or hockey stick tape. Come to that later. So I made that a bit with a simple frame for the back, and I thought, well, that looks nice, it's not bad, but it should have a bit extra at the back. So I made that and I thought, well, there's a bit extra. It really should have some sort of movement thing. It's all well and good having moving pictures here, but it needs to have movement. So there's a sort of nip cow disc, if I'm not mistaken, the sort type of scanning system, optical scanning system that John Logie Baird's television system used. Yeah, you can see the sort of lenses scanning up and down like that, and other bits and pieces, and it was an absolute joy. And I just used stuff I found around the workshop, and obviously it had to have a governor and some other all sorts of little bits and pieces. Oh, it was such a joy. And I had one of these floating. Oh, that reminds me, I must order another one of those. I had one of these floating around. I thought, well, it looks so beautiful. There's one of those lovely pretend candles that you really can't see it's pretend. So the idea is the candle bottles the water, stretch the imagination there. That goes through here, past a valve, along here and down into the motor system. Here's the governor, and of course you can't have a pretend one. These do actually go up and down, and via a system of linkages, as we say in the trade, they move that. So the faster it goes, the more they swing out, and the more the valve closes. So it sort of moderates itself. And I had an old horn that I thought I always wanted to do something with it, so that's nice. And some other twiddly bits and a bit of that lovely shower hose. Because what I wanted it to look like, as I say, a piece of very interesting Victorian optical engineering. So, you know, it looks like you can adjust the front. You can't actually. Would you like to see inside? I videoed a little bit of this for that first video when I got carried on one types of motor, a brushed DC motor, and that's what drives it all, via a very small pulley and then a nice chain. I think it's a Meccano type chain, sorry, not chain, spring linkage thing, which is perfect. And there's the limelight with an adjuster. You need, and the, what was it, quick climb adjustment, that's right, based on science, oxygen and hydrogen mix. Lovely. No, not oxygen, oxyacetylene, that's right. And there's a sort, I don't know whether you can see that. I was very pleased though, because I managed to get the look of a piece of glowing limestone with some jets on it. So that's fun. And that flickers nicely because it's got a couple of flickering white LEDs that just look nice. A little power supply there, lovely. So as I say, I haven't got any of the bits yet. I could start cutting things out, I suppose, but I'm going to make the bellows first, because I seem to remember that I don't remember how to make them at all, but thankfully I found the plans on the computer, a 2D design plan showing me the actual size I need to cut it out of. It's definitely going to be well worth making this video because I haven't got any records or instructions or anything about making the original. But what I have got, look, oh no, not that one, that's boring. I have got some drawings. That's not boring, that's interesting, look. I drew out all the things and kept them all together, all the mechanics and stuff, and that's where I planned how they'd fit together to make sure they all fitted. On the side view as well. Now that's great, because that sort of gives me something to work off. Right, where's the one I want? Bellows sides to print. Aha. And I thought, let's just check and see if I've got a folder in my stuff drawer. Epizoescope. Would you Adam and Eve it? I've got notes. That's amazing. Oh, I can't tell you how thrilled I am, because look, it's got all the dimensions and things on. Well, that's handy. Nowhere does it say about how to make the bellows or how big, wide each bit is. But, dear friends, I know that they are 200mm deep, and I've counted folds, and there are 20 of them. Now, even I, with my limited mathematic ability, can work out that that is a centimetre, 10mm per crease. We're getting somewhere. I wouldn't say it's flooding back, like a sort of gentle drip. So I'm going to get the card, mark it out, and then I'm going to cut it. So we have the sides cut out, and you can make them any different sort of sizes you want. I wanted the front to be slightly smaller and to get larger as it goes back, so I've just done that. I think as long as these bits are the same length, which they are, yep, that's fine, because now what I've got to do is I've got to score 20 lines or 19 lines or whatever, 10mm apart. Alternately, one side then score the other, then this side, then, because they've got to zigzag. In order to do that, dear friends, I have this wonderful, no affiliation, who's it made by? Oh, Rexel. Guillotine. Oh, I've had it for years. It is an absolute joy. It's even got a magnetic thing so that you can actually set things up. And the thing that runs backwards and forwards, it's got the clamp as well. We're interested in that, because in there you can set it to cut or crease. Yes, or bend, fold. So that's wonderful. It does it all really consistently. So I'm going to sit here watching The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, not a bad film at all, and fold away. Luckily, all these markings on here, I've found that if you line it up there, that's perfect, that's the starting point. I'll do that. Oh, nice. So I've got all four creased up. Now the first part of the magic happens with this wonderful hockey stick tape. It's the stuff that you wrap around to make handles. It's basically fabric, very, very sticky fabric tape, which is lovely, and that's what's recommended for this. The thing to remember is you need to make sure you have a long side and then a short side, or whatever you happen to be doing, and they have to be the other way up. They have to alternate. So you can see how they're alternating, basically. You get the drift. I'm going to very carefully tape that on both sides, and then do all four. It's time to create that. I know there's a knack to it because I've done lots of them, but it's going to take me a while. Right, I think I've got this right, because look, that folds out, that folds in, and there's only one way that the corner can really go sticking out like that. So I've done that on each one, and now I'm hoping that my, what do you call it, muscular memory or something, my fingers will do the talking, and I'll just go working all the way down. Let's see how it goes. Something along those lines though. How exciting. It took me about 3/4 of an hour, I suppose, but once you've got it started, the creasing process, it just seems to fold naturally. Look! Oh, dear friends. Isn't that lovely? That's amazing. You just go round and round and round, just resting it on your knee or something, and they just seem to naturally know where to fold. I'm so pleased. That's lovely. So that is going to be that bit, you can see I've got a lot better at it than my first go. Oh, that's great. So what I'm going to do now is to squash that, put a big piece of wood on it and just squash it so that all the corners retain their lovely flexibility and angles. So I'll leave that squashed for a few days. Next thing, I'll go and get the wood. I've realised, of course, that it's all made out of this type of, what is that, an inch square, just below that, bits of timber, pine. So I'll go and get a load of that, because then I can start on this back bit at least. I'll wait until I get the actual screen before I start on the front, just to make sure I can get it all fitted in and everything. Here's one of the lovely old cameras, absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. Look, Bellows. I don't know how they made these. Obviously it's not paper, it's sort of leathery. But they can't have had people sitting around spending half an hour per camera folding it up. They must have had an amazingly clever machine to do that. This is a lovely camera, isn't it? It's even got a viewfinder there, so you want to take a shot like that, what do? You slide that up. That's it. And then you look through there and line it all up. It's just, oh, when you think what cameras have become today. Beautiful. Anyway, and look at all the lens settings, the f-stops. Oh, amazing. Yeah, and you can even focus it by sliding this along, and it locks into different positions to move the lens further away from the actual film. What a joy. I just love old-fashioned inventions and technology. It's just so beautiful. And that's not just been replaced with some soulless flat thing with radius corners every other year. Anyway, mustn't go on about it. I've just got back from the wood yard and I've bought 10 lengths, 2.4 metre long by 20 by 20. It's such a useful size. What I'm going to be using some of that for, I'm going to start off by making this bit at the back. And I'm really pleased, follow my finger, that I have got a drawing, and I've just checked the dimensions and they are correct. 413, 335, mitered each corner, twice as deep, so I'm going to stick two bits of these together, and why not? He'll cry. We'll get that glued and clamped, and roughly cut them on the bandsaw, glued them together, so now I can sand those on the sanding jig. Wood is just so lovely. I love working with it. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Right, so now what we can do is to get the jig up like that, and then just make sure that mitre is perfectly sanded. So now we've got all four sides cut out. We have to glue them together and clamp them using one of these wonderful belt clamps. There we are. What a joy. These corner blocks there. You just lock it in with that and then tighten it, and it pulls them all really tightly. And you get your square, and just check the internal bits are square just by clamping them down on one side to the tabletop and then clamping that corner down when I've got it all square. It's lovely. Now it's time to take the dog for a walk. I was working out the dimensions of all that because I hadn't got a drawing of this back frame. So that's nice. I'll get them cut out and get them fixed together. And whilst doing that, I thought I would engrave the dial legend for a really old antique RPM meter, I think it was. I was contacted by Brad from a museum of old engineering exciting stuff in Canada, and he'd got this gauge, but most of the dial paint had flaked off, and he'd got a couple of other pictures of other similar gauges and asked me if I could sort of not cobble one together, it sounds far too common, intricately combine different elements of them to create a replacement version. So I did, and here it is. And it was great fun to do, it really was. Just finding fonts that matched, and obviously getting the layout right and getting the angles sorted out from the photos he'd sent. But doing all the twiddly, I just love this sort of thing. where companies were so proud and they used to mix up all sorts of fonts and twiddly bits to get the right look. So that's lovely. It's not a fast process, but it's a very clever one. This has now been going 25 minutes and 45 seconds. Well, you can see all the soot trails because there's a little compressed air blower that blows dust away, so it's sort of shooting all over the place. I'll clean that off later, but you get the idea. Oh, look at that. Right, it's time for some isopropyl alcohol action. I'm very pleased with that. That's come out really nicely. You can see the precision with the raster engraving. Absolutely spot on. And perfect for line engraving around those. Right down to the little dots under the serial number. Oh, lovely. I'll get that off to Brad. What fun. I love working with wood. Gone from that to that. I've got a kit of bits that I can now try and figure out how to assemble. It's another day and things are coming on lovely and beautifully. So nice because everything's dry now, so I've sanded up all that to get rid of any remains of glue on the outside, and that's just lovely. And last night I glued in a couple of M8 nuts carefully with araldite epoxy resin, so I didn't manage to glue them in. I needed those in the bolts to keep them absolutely centered, because those two, I mean, why have glued on feet when you can have 4 completely independently adjustable ones? Yes. Because this back frame is predominantly a frame structure, it's going to be difficult to get it all lined up properly, so the addition of 2 sides, 2 panels on either side, when I glue it all together, that'll hold it as more of a shell structure and hold everything stable. Now, it has been a joy cutting out things on the bandsaw, but you can't beat the laser cutter, especially for things like ply. So I've got the 2 side panels for either side done. They just fit on my 600 by 300 bed. I've got that lined up there and we're all ready to go. And then of course you come to try and fix everything together with your lovely laser cut pieces, and it doesn't quite, and then you realise, yes, you stuck in 2 longer pieces of wood on this rather than those, and this is too wide. Oh joy, stupid. So I think what I'm going to have to do, I'm just going to use the bandsaw to cut off one end of this, cut it down to the right. What an idiot I've been. Well, not label things. So this one's sanded and fixed back together and gluing, but during the meanwhile, what's very enjoyable, start to put all these bits together. So I'm gluing these in, and they will all line up once the top's the right size. And I'll just put those 4 brass screws in, because they're those 4 brass screws. So we've got these bits stuck on, we've got the whole frame fixed together, reinforced with some screws at the back. Just sticking little bits on inside here to support everything, which is lovely. It's so nice when everything's square. While things have been drying, I've been going around the extension looking for stuff. Look! It's that bit. Amazing pretend flickering candles. Beautiful things. And I've got a spare module. By the way, I haven't been able to find anywhere you can buy these direct, as is. You always have to buy them in a wax surround thing, but that's not too bad. Mere wooden balls I found, just enough for the weights for the governor, and one stuck on top painted copper. And why not? And other plumbing fittings and bits and bobs. And now I'm working on the horn. That's the horn. I've spent quite a long time working on it, because it's quite tricky. I need to create that. So that's what we need. This is obviously a very well defined logarithmic horn shape. So, if you remember, I ordered one of these. A bugle, which is fairly reasonable, about £12 I think it was. And it is actually meant for playing by students. And it obviously was bugle shaped, so I've had to cut off the little supports that glued the pipes round. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. It has to be smooth, I tells ya. So I've been sanding away feverishly and also roughing up the surface, because it is actually painted black on white plastic. Why couldn't they just sell white bits as a kit to make up? Never mind. So now I've got to work out where 22mm diameter comes down here, because I need to then cut it and have some sort of fitting to link it together. Now there's a fitting, a 22mm to 22mm. Here's one that's 22mm to something. So I think now I've got this smooth, I'm just going to have to bite the proverbial and saw it in half and then try and figure out what on earth I'm going to do to join it back together again. Here's some 22mm pipe, and I was seeing whether I could work out a way of sort of flanging it or something, and I realised one of these lovely sockets in the days when they made really good quality ones, if I put that in there and then squeezed it in the vise, it did actually flange the end. Not by the right angle, but it might help. So I think I'm just going to have to saw this where I think it's going to fit, see whether that pushes on. I've cut it off, I've squeezed that in a bit more to flange the end a bit, which seems to work really nicely, and look, it just pushes on beautifully. Some glue or something. That's good, and then because that's 22mm I can fit the monster ring on there, and then that fits on there, and then Adam and Eve it. This must be why I used one before. That just pushes on there. So that is perfect. And then that can go around and in. I'm really pleased about that. It was always a bit nerve-wracking starting to saw things up. But that, once all this is painted brass and possibly that bit brass as well, that'll look lovely. Very pleased. I've got the woodwork finished and stained, ready for polishing. Here's the bit that's going to support the bellows and the mechanisms on top, so that's nice. Oh, and look, isn't that lovely? Fitted together like a hand in a glove. So I can now polish all that up with my little lamb's wool, which I don't think it is lamb's wool at all, but never mind. Works really nicely. The wood stain I use is this stuff, which is brilliant. As long as you mix it well first, because you just paint it on, it doesn't smell hideous, doesn't smell at all really, and then once it's dry you can buff it up. It's lovely. Look at that shine. And the great thing is, I just love wood so much, as I think I might have mentioned, but the grain is beautiful, and even this, that is natural grain, which is lovely. Oh, it just comes up a treat. Right, so now I can get that front bit fixed onto this bit. And what are these holes for? Well, dear friends, they're just the right size for a screwdriver, so I can tighten those ones on the front. I'm not going to glue this front on, just in case, because it's very handy being able to get things apart if necessary. And there you see it, finally coming together. I've stained the edges of this bit, the front bit, and left the middle bits clear for glue, for the adhesive, to make sure it sticks properly for the bellows to fix on. So that's nice. And there we have the first bit. I do declare that I think this is a very good place to stop the first video. I think it's probably about 20 minutes or something. But it's, you know, we've now got something to show for all the effort and everything. Next time, hopefully the photo screen, whatever, what's it called? Digital photo frame will have arrived, and I can get that measured up to make sure I can then do all the front bits, the next bit, and get the bellows fitted on, and then start on all the mechanisms. It's so excited. I hope that was interesting. Hope to see you next time. Thanks again very much for watching.